Hello everybody, my name is Xuul and welcome to my new game review series. Game Gauge, or Experience, or something. I'm not really sure what to call it yet, so please leave a comment down below to help me name this series. In this series, I'm going to basically be taking a look at games and reviewing them. If you're wondering why I'm doing that, it's because of the feedback that I received on the Xuul 2014 Census Survey. There'll be a link to it in the description if you'd like to see more videos like this, kind of stuff like that, or you'd like to see different kind of videos on my channel. Fill out the 10-question survey and basically let me know what you'd like to see. Honestly, it means a lot to me and it's the reason this series is happening. Now, the basic layout of this series, as far as I can tell, is I'm going to basically talk about the story, talk about the settings and options, talk about the gameplay, and then give you a recommendation. So without further ado, let's get started with our very first game, the Talos Principle. I hope you enjoy.
How do you solve a problem that extends beyond your own lifespan? That question may be the essence of civilization. The only answer I can find is to initiate a process, to create an environment in which the solution will occur independently of yourself. But that requires a difficult sacrifice. Letting go of your desire to bear witness, to exist at the center of the cosmos. To participate in the project of civilization is to accept death.
The Talos Principle is a narrative-driven first-person puzzle game with a very deep emphasis on story. The player takes the role of an unnamed robotic android who gains consciousness in a beautifully serene environment. After exploring the area for a while, the player will see contrasting elements of both nature, old, dilapidated ruins with strange technological things such as computers, force fields, and lasers. After a while, a strange, disembodied voice identifying itself as Elohim will tell the player that he is the maker, the creator. He tasks the player to go through various areas that he has made for him in order to collect various sigils that resemble Tetris pieces. This game's storyline deals with elements such as the nature of humanity itself, the existence of life after humanity, and various other themes. I don't want to spoil too much because it is a very story-heavy game, but trust me, this story, if you like sort of that philosophical, wondering, contemplating about the nature of yourself and humanity, is something that you'll want to check out. The story is absolutely incredible from what I've seen so far, and I cannot wait to complete the entire game. Alright, it's time to discuss the options menu and settings. Now, before we begin, I just want to say this game has pretty much the greatest set of options that I have seen in any game in a very long time. This is pretty much the cream of the crop from what I have seen for settings, options, customization. This is fantastic. So let's get started with keyboard and mouse. In here you have your basic things: raw input, mouse smoothing, mouse sensitivity changes. One thing of note is that mouse sensitivity does have a little number here, which is good. I always like it when they give you, a little bit more detailed information so that I can sort of remember that maybe I like 1.07 instead of just having to kind of guess with a bar that doesn't give you exact values. You can also toggle free look, which basically allows you to look up and down. I can't see why you wouldn't want that. And then you can go ahead and configure your keys. Pretty much all the keys are available for rebinding for the most part. Pretty much everything you need. One thing of note here is F10 to invoke the menu cannot be rebound. It's a little bit annoying because that's what I use for recording. Same thing with screenshots. I wish these were rebindable, but that's kind of a small thing. For most of people and for most of the game, these keybinds will be good. If you're using a different keyboard, you can of course rebind some of the basic things like sprint and stuff. But the game's mostly played with the keyboard and mouse, and it plays just fine. You can also use a control in this game, although I have not tested it personally. Next up, the game options. Here you can toggle subtitles. You can toggle the crosshair, again, something that I really like, because sometimes, you want to take those beautiful screenshots. You can toggle your view, including the different shoulder view for when you're in third person. You can toggle hints, view bobbing, and you can adjust the player's movement speed. I'm going to leave it at medium for the purposes of this video. Next up are the graphics options. Now these are really cool. You can select from a wide variety of resolutions. There's a couple of resolutions missing here. I don't see anything for ultra-wide displays, but for the most part, it's going to service the wide majority of customers. It goes up to 4K and all the way down to basic 4:3 resolutions, and it's in a nice, properly laid out menu. You can also change the graphics API in this game. You can have DirectX 9, DirectX 11, or OpenGL. It's kind of an interesting thing. I haven't seen that in games in a while, and it's pretty cool. For windowed mode, you can select borderless window, a personal favorite of mine as I do use 2 monitors, although the cursor is not properly constrained when you are in menu, so that's something to keep in mind. Next up, you can choose the 3D rendering size. Now this is interesting because this is basically the number of pixels that are rendered, and then it's downsampled to your resolution. So if you have a very powerful GPU and you don't want to deal with kind of the aliasing, you can scale this up a little bit. I have it right now sitting at 1920 by 1200, but you can scale this up even further or up to unlimited, and this should hopefully help with your anti-aliasing because it is going to be rendering more pixels. Keep in mind that this will have a performance impact. There's multi-sampling AA that goes up to 8 times. You can enable VSync, triple buffering, and you can adjust the width of the screen. You can see here how this changes. So if you have to do sort of micro adjustments based on your screen, you can do this, and you can sort of change the way things look. I think this is a cool option here, especially for people who have different issues with their display, although I'm going to leave it here. Finally, you have FOV from 60, which is a decent minimum if you're pretty far away, all the way up to 120. I'll leave it at 90, but this is a really good FOV option. You're not going to be constrained. You're not going to suffer from simulation sickness. Then you can select performance. In the performance, there are several different options, one for your CPU speed, your GPU memory, and for level caching. And if you open this up, you'll see here that there are a bunch of different settings, and you're probably thinking, but Xuul, you said that this had a really options menu. Well, this is how. You can actually customize each of these settings. So for CPU speed, these are all the things that rely on your CPU. And I like how they broke down the different options into these different sections, because you can tell exactly what things are going to be affected by. So if you have a weaker CPU, you can scale down some of these things, or if that's what your bottleneck is. And there's a lot of different things here, including multi-threaded rendering, which I really like because not a lot of games use multi-threading. You can also select GPU speed and customize it in the same way. This one is much larger, and again, it does feature some of the things we saw on the other menu, such as the max 3D rendering resolution in millions of pixels, as well as many other things. So you can change the bump map distance, just customize the game to your heart's content. You can change the anti-aliasing on shadows independently, the blurring of shadows. You can change the rendering crumbs, the level of bloom that you see. I know some people personally don't like bloom, so you can actually go ahead and turn that off. You can turn off motion blur, something that I like to do because I hate motion blur in games. You can also turn off the depth of field and some other things, zoom blur if you're zooming in, and you can even customize the amount of lens flare. So if you don't like having all this stuff here for the lens flare, you don't like the glare, for example, you can change it to corneal only. I'm just going to leave it as it is. And again, all of these things are what your GPU is depending on. So if you have a weaker GPU, you know what to turn down in the game. Finally, GPU memory here, which can again be customized. I have 4 gigs of memory in my card, so it's not really a problem, but so those of you on older cards can turn these down and it'll help a lot. These are probably mostly texture related things. Finally, the level caching here, which is just allows you to switch between levels a little bit faster. This one can't be customized, of course, and it relies a little bit on your GPU memory and some other things, and it basically is just how fast you load into certain areas. It's how much of the stuff is cached. You can auto-attack in my system using a GTX 970. Everything comes up as Ultra. Just simply press F3 to apply, it will refresh the screen, and everything will be good. But wait, there's more. We're going to take a look at the sound options here. You got your normal separate sliders. You can also choose between your sound API. I'm not really sure what this does, to be honest. And another personal favorite thing of mine, you can change the output device in the game. Sometimes I like to have music playing or something coming out of my speakers, and I like to have the game audio coming out of my headset, or vice versa. Perhaps I'm talking to some people in Ventrilo or Skype, and I want to hear them only through my headset, and I want my music to come out of my speakers. This allows you there, and it's just a nice little touch that I love when they add in the game, because it sort of overrides your system defaults. And it also prevents me from having to relaunch the game if I'm using my speakers and I launch it, but I want things to come through my headset. There's normal language options, and then we can go over to performance, which again is just this. You don't have to go into that other menu to get there. Change has been detected? No. Finally, there's some advanced options. You can change the letterboxing if you're using, some sort of screen thing that does this. You can toggle the HUD, again, for the really cool screenshots. You can toggle the time and the FPS in the corner, because this game does come with a really cool benchmarking. And it doesn't do this by running you through a pre-rendered scene. It actually runs through the whole first level of the game just automatically to benchmark. So you actually get a really accurate benchmark. It's not synthetic like a lot of games. Finally, you can actually customize the size of the heads-up display. So you can make it ludicrously big if you're playing on a TV, or nice and small how I like it since I'm playing on a 1080p display right in front of my face. Under graphics options, there is the option for color options, and this basically allows you to change the look of the game, which again goes with the really cool full customization that exists in the Talos Principle. You can change it from cold to vivid, which gives you a lot more saturation. You can play the game in grayscale. You can make it overly bright or dark, kind of bland, apocalyptic, or you can make it look a little bit noir. And all of these things will apply to the actual game. Some look better than others, but honestly, I think this is just a cool little addition so that I can actually just come into the menu and adjust the color to exactly how I like things. And you can go ahead and customize these things. You can up the contrast, lower the contrast, that kind of thing, lower the brightness. It's all up to you. You can really make your own kind of things. As you can see, things look a lot better when they're really vivid, at least to me, but if you're somebody who perhaps likes things to be a little bit more toned down, a little bit more dour, you can go ahead and set it to apocalyptic and make things look very cold, very blank, very dead. It's all up to you, and it's the awesome customization that I really enjoy in this game. So the game loads up pretty much instantly, and my god are the graphics good. Absolutely no complaints on the graphics here. If we take a look at these textures, they are great. And again, you have that combination of the technological, of the advanced, of the future, the robots, in with the nature and the ruins and all that stuff, and I think it just looks awesome. So to examine the gameplay, let's take a look at the first 3 puzzles. As we can see, there's an easy, medium, and hard puzzle. I'm really good at puzzle games, so this shouldn't be a problem at all. In fact, I've actually already done this first one. So again, the gameplay revolves around trying to get those puzzle pieces right there. And to do that, we're going to have to solve various puzzles. They're going to involve the use of several tools, one of which is the jammer that we have here. This essentially jams force fields. Now, you can't just reach across once you get back to pick up the jammer. It has to stay on the side you leave it on. So in order to bring this jammer with me, I have to use a second jammer to bring it over there. And essentially, if I want to keep going, I need to use this sort of leapfrogging maneuver to get over here. Let's take a couple look at the textures once again. As you can see, the textures look great in this game. There's also secondary objectives. I will show you them. Essentially, the secondary objectives are things like stars and stuff. But before we do that, let's show you the purple fields. So those familiar with the game Portal will recognize these purple fields as kind of like the material emancipation grid. So you see the tool there isn't allowed to pass, and this will be important in some of the later puzzles. So let's collect that. It'll go there.
Behold, child, you are risen from the dust, and you walk in my garden. Hear now my voice, and know that I am your maker, and I am called Elohim. Seek me in my temple, if you are worthy.
Okay, so that is just another plot point there. That is Elohim. He is the creator, and he's basically the guy we're looking for. So, I was talking about the secondary objectives. You can sort of see one there. There's these golden stars you can collect. The first one's quite easy to get, although it gets a lot harder as time goes on. I can tell you that the one for the medium puzzle is quite tricky. It took me a while to figure out. So, we'll just pick that up, and we got the star. And that's pretty much it. We're just trying to collect these puzzle pieces. And if we take a look at this, the reason we're collecting the puzzle pieces is actually to solve a puzzle. Yeah, shocking. I don't know if puzzle pieces is the exact perfect correct thing to say for that, but we're trying to get into this castle here, and in order to do that, we need to solve this. However, we need to collect all the sigils in order to use this lock. So that's basically the plot line of the beginning. Now we can explore this island and see all it has to show. So, you know, we can go down in here. We can wander out a little bit farther into the water, but if we go too far, we'll start to hear Elohim's voice and be pushed back. So you're pretty much constrained to the island. Let's take a look at the second puzzle here. We'll go to the medium difficulty one, where we will be introduced to our second mechanic, which is the lasers. So we can see these lasers right here. The lasers come from an emitter, go into this connector, and then connect these little things here. Now I can actually block these with my body, which will then activate this force field. Of course, I don't want to do that because that doesn't make a lot of sense. And we have this box. Now the box is kind of important as well. Not only can I climb onto this, but I can also place things onto it. In order to use the connector, all you have to do is click at one target and then the other. We can see right there, if both of those things are lit up, we have line of sight. If not, then only one will be able to connect. As we can see, that connector is in the way. You do have to re-get your connections every single time you put it down, though, so it can be slightly tedious, but not too much. But overall, the puzzle is pretty easy, so we'll go ahead and grab this. I'm not going to spoil the surprise of how to get the second golden star, because this one, honestly, is the most difficult. Finally, we're going to go to the hard puzzle. So this one, again, not that hard. And it involves the use of both the tools, and we're trying to get that there. So, you can see that there, but we can't bring it with us, so we'll go through here, and yeah, it looks like we're going to need the disruptor to get through that. So, we're going to have to move this here and here. There we are. Then we'll take that back. Do this, put that back, because the force field would actually block the line of sight for that. Finally, we'll come through here, block that, grab this, and block that. I mean, I could probably spend a lot more time looking at the beautiful sights in this game, but honestly, I just want to get through these puzzles and give you my conclusion. You're also going to find things like this in the world, little QR codes. They have things from different, from what I'm assuming are different versions of the AI here. One of them's called Faith, the other one is just a version number. So it's interesting stuff. Okay, so here is the first of the puzzles. These puzzles involve us placing these Tetris-style blocks, and essentially our goal is to try and fill up the entire thing. Now obviously that was terrible. I was just doing that as sort of demonstration, but we need to try and figure out a way to fill this up without causing problems. And it can be a little bit tricky, and later on these get a lot harder. So it's just something to keep in mind. Oh, darn it. Okay. There we go. There and there. That'll open up this, which will activate the force field and allow me to grab the jammer. I can then run over here and use the jammer to open this up and get the puzzle piece. Now, obviously, I'm going to want to get the gold star back there too, so let's go get the laser pointer so that we can actually do that successfully. Or sorry, the connector. So that's this, and that should connect with that. So I had it for a second. There we are. So that'll open up that, which takes down the first force field, and then I can run through, collect this. Not a problem. So let's get over here to the next puzzle. And this is probably going to be as far as we go. I don't think I'm going to even be finishing this puzzle. So as we can see, we've unlocked this. So now we can get in here and begin to solve. So, yeah. This is obviously going to take me a little while, I think. I'm not exactly the best at these kind of puzzles. Spatial awareness is not my forte. So there. There. And there. So yeah, that took me a little longer than it should have, but should be going. Oh, and as far as performance goes, by the way, this game runs absolutely fine. Absolutely no performance issues whatsoever. So we can see that's not going to work out. And actually what I think we're going to need to do is this. Drop that down there. Pick up this fan. What's back here? Nothing really, okay. So we can pick up this fan, and the fan can be attached there. And I believe this can be powered on. So let's try this. Oops. Sorry about that. Let's try this. Now obviously it's not going to work unless I move to manually activate the laser. And no, that's not actually the way. So, let's see. It looks like there's a cube over here, which we're not able to get, and another cube right here. So obviously the first thing we're going to need to do is get that cube. So in order to get that cube, we're going to need to do this. So we'll have to put this here. There we are. And grab this so we can grab the other cube. Okay, I think I have this puzzle figured out by now. It's not that complicated. It's a little bit more advanced, but again, I'm good at puzzle games, so put that there. Take that. Put that there. Put that there. Connect this. Oops. Connect that. 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 And for just for good measures, that. Put that there. We'll go get the other box. Pick it up. Bring it over here. This is what this game is going to be all about. Okay, so that was the Talos Principle. Now here's my thoughts on it. I love this game. I love games like this. I love games with the deep, mysterious story. I absolutely like. This is probably my favorite game. I feel like this is honestly designed for me. So I am going to give it a full 100% Xuul recommendation. It checks off every single box there is. It has a great story. It is super customizable. It is a premier PC game on that front. It scales really well with hardware. The gameplay is engaging, fun, challenging, difficult, all that stuff. But most importantly, the story and the graphics and the gameplay merge together in what I would consider an almost perfect way. I haven't had this much fun with a game since Portal, although that takes a totally different tone. This one's a lot more serious. I really like it. This game is available on Steam for the price of around $40 Canadian or your regional equivalent. Now if that seems a little high for you, consider this. There are over 120 puzzles in this game. It should take you around 15 to 20 hours from the estimates that I've been seeing from people I've sort of asked around for. And there's also a lot of hidden lore, computer terminals that you can interact with, and a lot of other stuff like that. So there's tons of content for you to play in this game, and it's extremely engaging. It has the challenge and complexity of Portal with a much deeper sort of metaphysical story. I adore this game. So thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, let me know. Let me know what I can do to change the format to make it a little bit better. I mean, this isn't the greatest format in the world, but I'm just trying this for the first time. So maybe if I can condense the videos or something like that, it can help. Please take the survey, links in the description, and there'll be a Steam link down below as well. Thank you very much for watching. I have been Xuul. Have an excellent day.